Great. Well, good to hear some ideas on the difference between work pay and gifts. I'm going to come back to that in a little while. So tonight, we'll meet in here. I will talk for a little while, and then we're going to go into the back room. There's good air conditioning, teas, hot chocolates. There'll be painting animals and eating dessert. So we'll stay here for 20 minutes or so, and then we'll move into the next room. And I hope you can meet someone new and connect with someone from around the world or Australia. It's so good to meet together. Now, the topic tonight is about being rich, but being spiritually rich. Now, one highlight of my life has been to live in Indonesia, and we lived in Indonesia for 8 years. We loved it there. We have so many good friends, and we enjoyed the culture and the food. We had fun connecting with our neighbours, playing badminton, hiking in the mountains. It was a fantastic time for our lives. And I remember, though, when we first moved there, it was very exciting, but at the same time, it was difficult. We did not know how to speak Indonesian at that time, so we had to study for that first year, learning Indonesian. We went to classes each day and practice in the streets, like, what is your name? Where are you from? What is your job? Like these things, practicing over and over again. Language learning is difficult, isn't it? I remember in Indonesian, the structure of sentences is different to English. And so you have the words, say, potato. You can say, like, a potato, the potato, my potato. But if you get the order incorrect, you actually say, this is something that I said one time, talking about potatoes, I'm a potato, which is not quite the one I was going for. I'm a potato because I had the wrong order. And you might be thinking, Jason, you do look a bit like a potato with your haircut here. So language learning is difficult. And if you have been learning language or moved to Australia in the past or recently, it's challenging, isn't it? It was hard to be away from family. There's times, maybe special times at birthdays or celebrations where you miss your family. That was challenging. But at the same time, it was so exciting, and we love it, and we hope to go back one day also. We love it over there. Now, this was a bit of my experience learning a new culture and moving to a different culture. And today we're reading about someone who moved to a different culture, who changed and moved to another place. And that person is Jesus, who changed cultures. And so I have a verse here. It's from 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9, and it says this. A man called Paul is writing, he says, "You know the generous grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, so that by his poverty he could make you rich." So I will talk a little bit about this. One key word in here is the word grace. You know the generous grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now, in Indonesian, if you're talking about grace, you talk about anugerah kasih, and it's a combination of two words like kindness and love. Kindness and love put together to talk about grace, and grace, being shown to another person. Now, grace is a free gift and a kindness to another person. Now, this was great. When people were sharing before, people talks like, so for work, you pay to get something else. But when we're thinking about Jesus, his gracious gifts to us, he gives because he loves us, out of his kindness, out of his goodness. And so we do not pay him to be kind to us, to save us, to give us hope, to give us peace. But instead, he gives the gift of hope and joy and life for free. This is the amazing thing about Jesus. So we'll come back to that in a moment. So though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor. So Jesus was in heaven. Heaven is perfect. He had the joy in relationship. He was rich. Like for Jesus, he was rich in heaven, but then he leaves heaven and he comes to earth and he's born as a human into weakness. Now, Jesus was born into a simple family. You would think if he's the king of the world, he'd be born into a great palace or a castle, and his parents would drive Ferraris. You'd think he would be in an impressive family like this. But he was born into a simple family because he came to be like us. And Jesus suffered. And so the one who is rich and in heaven, which is perfect, came to earth to be like us. So God comes down to be like us. There's a man named Hudson Taylor. He was from England and moved to China in 1865. And he went there to encourage people in China and to talk about Jesus. At that time, when missionaries went to China, they would wear a suit and a tie walking around China and look very strange. But Hudson Taylor decided, let's wear Chinese clothes, have Chinese haircuts, and learn Mandarin, and let's become like Chinese people to serve and help Chinese people. And it's a great example looking to him. He loved the people of China. He loved China so much that he went and learned a new language, became like the people of China to support and help. And it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? And this is what Jesus did. Jesus leaves heaven to become like us, to experience weakness, to experience a different culture, and he leaves heaven, and even though he's rich and mighty, the king of the world, he became poor in a way, and he did all of this to make us rich. So Jesus did all of that so that by his poverty, he could make you rich. Now, when it talks about riches here, it's not talking about money. It's not talking about houses or cars. When Jesus wants to make us rich, he's talking about being spiritually rich, about spiritually having the joys of life, peace, joy in Jesus. And so he came and he dies on the cross. And when he died on the cross, he paid the price to get into heaven. To get into heaven, he gave everything to wash away sin, to make us clean, so we can be friends with God. And so in that way, to make us rich, Jesus dies and gives his life. It's amazing. I think Kim, when she shared before about a gift, someone else worked to give you the gift in Kim's example here. And what we see with Jesus, he does the work, he pays the cost to get into heaven, and he does this to make us so we are spiritually rich. Now, can I tell you about a student who came earlier this year? She's from South Korea, and when she came, she would join in, and she was very quiet, and as she would experience things, she just started to learn more about Jesus. And as she learned more, she saw the greatness of Jesus, and she was so keen to learn and to grow. And she committed herself to Jesus. And when she did that, you could see just in her face, she had a joy in herself when she got to know Jesus, when she became closer with Jesus again, and she had a joy. And you could see that she became, in this verse, spiritually rich. She had a joy, she had a peace and a hope, and that encouraged her and lifted her up, because in Jesus, he gives and adds to our lives. And just to see on her face, the joy that she has is just amazing. So if we think about some possessions in life, Maybe we might like some, a mobile phone and like money, houses, cars. But all those things break and they pass away. One time I had a phone that fell into the toilet. It broke and got wet and destroyed. We've had a car that was broken and we had to remove it. See, some of our things in this, in our lives, they break and they get old. And so they're riches, but they're not the greatest of riches. But there are riches that are even better, and it's spiritual riches to have peace in Jesus, joy in Jesus, hope, security. Now that is something that cannot be taken away. It cannot be broken, and it goes forever. This is amazing that in Jesus we can find peace. And in the world where there's troubles, there's stresses, there's trials, I need some more peace. I need some more hope. And we can find that in Jesus. Jesus who loves us, who cares for every person, and he wants to give us spiritual riches. And that is some great news about Jesus. Now, this is an introduction about Jesus. We want to encourage you. If you are finding out about Jesus, who he is, what he did, we have a number of small groups where you can ask questions and explore. Tonight, if you have a question, what do you mean, Jason? What was that? What are you saying? We want to encourage you. Jesus is amazing. Keep getting to know him. We invite you to come and join us next Sunday, and we have groups in the week. So, yeah, it's wonderful tonight to be able to talk about being spiritually rich. And for the people here who already follow Jesus, I just want to encourage you with a word in Australian slang. It is loaded. It's the other word for rich. It's like say, oh, they are loaded. They have so much money. They have wealth. They have lots of possessions. They are loaded. But I'd want to say about you, if you trust Jesus, wow, you are loaded. You are loaded with good things in Jesus, and you are so blessed. So I encourage you, be thankful this week. Rejoice this week because Jesus became poor and gave everything so that we can be spiritually rich. Now as we reflect on the kindness of God, let's sing this song and we can think about the greatness of God, the greatness of his love, the greatness of Jesus to come to earth, be like us and save us. And we're going to need help with languages in this song, is that right?